Right. So, I didn't intend to make this video because I wanted to focus on things more topical for October. But we have to talk about the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World. It has been, well, a disaster in all respects. All of the shows that premiered in the parks are just lazily executed, and reflect a pretty significant turning point for the company towards cheap entertainment. That, in addition to the chaos and lack of crowd control in Magic Kingdom on the actual day of the 50th, which was October 1st, just reveals an overall decline of the company that I've already highlighted in my other videos. A lot of people in my comments have also referred to me as a universal shill because they don't actually watch the videos, but if you were looking for criticism of Universal Parks, I'm definitely thinking about doing a more extensive look at the issues that those parks do have, likely sometime in November. So, without further delay, let's talk about the 50th anniversary and see why this is a pretty concerning turning point, signaling the decline of Disney parks. Last month, on September 15th, Epcot's new creation shop just opened. It was met with a pretty significant crowd of people. However, one issue with the opening was the chaos of people flooding in to rip merchandise off of the shelves, and even out of the hands of cast members as they were rolling out carts to restock the merchandise. This isn't a unique phenomenon to just the opening of this store, and it definitely indicates a larger problem that Disney has been facing. The issue is that there's a demographic out there that I like to call eBay price gougers. People who swarm Disney shops for merchandise releases, trying to get their grubby hands on it first so that they can sell it at a ridiculous upcharge and price gouge people online when the merchandise sells out quickly. However, despite Disney's measures like limiting 2 of each item to a customer, or even blocking out the passes of people who they can track down who are doing this, the issue still persists. That's why on the 50th anniversary of the Magic Kingdom, when people were quite literally getting into altercations over merchandise, the lack of planning from Disney comes off as a bit astounding. Like, you saw the chaos of the creation shop when it opened just 15 days earlier, and I would have assumed that crowd control measures would have been put into place. Granted, Disney did later adopt actual queues, but it feels as if not enough is being done to combat this problem. A lot of the 50th anniversary merchandise that people were fighting over was easily available in the world of Disney weeks before, and much of this can be found online with plenty of availability on Shop Disney as well. I have to admit that I personally have no ideas for how to combat this, but I also think that Disney has a lot of experienced people who know how to control crowds, and this could have likely been avoided if the effort was put into it. Going forward, I expect the new retail shops or merchandise drops will be addressed with orderly queues. I do feel that sometimes events like these can be unpredictable, as I've certainly been in parks during peak attendance before, so I don't put the blame entirely on Disney because sometimes it just has to happen in order to learn how to control it. That being said, this quite literally just happened at the creation shop half a month earlier, so I'm a bit surprised at how unprepared they were for this. They've been creating pretty extensive queues for the world of Disney when new merchandise lines drop, so I find it a bit difficult to believe that Disney didn't expect this kind of behavior when they know it's a consistent factor. Moving on, Disney has premiered 3 new shows to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and they're all pretty bad, marking a definitive turning point in the decline of the company. If you've watched my video essays, one of the most significant issues that I pointed out is how lazy new Disney attractions are. They simply just shoot for what I describe as aggressive mediocrity, and with few exceptions, none of their attractions are compelling or interesting. We've also seen an almost complete absence of the details and effort that went into putting an attraction over the top that wants to define the Disney experience. To help solidify this new era of Disney just shooting for good enough, these new shows are probably some of the laziest I've ever seen. Are they bad? Well, no, and I wouldn't fault you for finding them entertaining. However, what has always defined the Disney experience and put it over the top was the level of artistry that went into the experience. If we take Epcot's Illuminations, for example, it was a show that told the story of humanity coming together, using fireworks and lasers to represent abstract ideas of creating order out of chaos, uniting all of the world cultures together under one tribe of unity, looking towards the future. It's a show that worked as a thesis statement for Epcot, exploring the optimism of the future showcased in Future World and juxtaposed among the many different representations of culture in the World Showcase. The many different countries on display is a celebration of different cultures, but the show is an optimistic look at how the world could unite in the future. The show itself was full of artistic merit, pushing boundaries and proving that fireworks displays were not just simple entertainment, but could be used as an expressive art form in and of itself. Now, though, it has been replaced with Harmonious, which is an absolute stain on the Disney name. Is it a bad show? No, and I'm sure that plenty of people will find it entertaining. However, it showcases an overall decline in the artistry of Disney is certainly a failure in that regard. The show consists just simply of water effects, images, and fireworks synced to popular Disney songs that have a vague international theme. It possesses no artistic merit or message beyond, hey, you like Disney cartoons, right? It's interesting that some songs have small portions done in the language that the characters of a certain culture are based on, but it's all just ultimately superficial, if not a little insulting at times. How is Africa portrayed in this show? Well, with the Lion King, of course, which has absolutely nothing to do with African people or their cultures. The same applies with Central Asia, where the music from the Jungle Book is used to portray India and the surrounding countries. In addition, these massive barges that sit in the World Showcase Lagoon just absolutely destroy the sightlines of the park. Perhaps I wouldn't mind as much if the show was something more than a Disney sing-along, but even the central barge can only be seen clearly from the north or south, and not all around the lagoon. The issue of, hey, let's play some Disney music and call it a show, also persists with the new lakeside entertainment at Animal Kingdom called Disney Kite Tales. There are two variations of the show, both of which are also The Lion King and The Jungle Book. The concept is that Disney music plays and kites are flown around the lagoon, depicting animated characters from these films. Again, not a bad show, but certainly a lazy one. Just playing songs from Disney films is as creatively bankrupt as you can get, and the whole show seems hastily put together. For some reason, a lot of people like to defend Disney and tell me that the shows are just intended for kids, but that's really kind of stupid. Disney has never been just for kids and has always been an industry leader. I don't think such laziness and poor quality is acceptable when the appeal of Disney parks has always been the artistry and effort that went into the experiences. To excuse this type of nonsense with, well, my kid liked it, is irrelevant to the conversation. Finally, I want to talk about the new fireworks show for Magic Kingdom called Disney Enchantment. As with the other shows, it's not inherently bad by itself, but it lacks any sort of artistic merit because it's just, hey, let's throw some songs together and sing some fireworks with it. That being said, Magic Kingdom has always featured songs from Disney films, and that's fine because that's what I expect from the park. Fantasyland was always intended to portray the fantasy of Disney animated films, and so extending that idea into the hub with the fireworks show on the castle is a perfectly acceptable theme. However, previous fireworks contained a lot more nuance and were just simply better crafted. The theme for wishes was right in the name, in that the show was all about the granting of wishes. This extended to a number of different Disney characters and even their villains. The show didn't have any more depth than this, but the incorporation of Disney music was picked strategically to fit in with the overall theme of the show. It's also important to note that, like with Illuminations, the fireworks is used here as an abstract way of defining certain concepts and emotions. Its replacement, Happily Ever After, was an even better show that incorporated Disney music in a whole new way. The show is divided into distinct sections that define Disney characters and story, which are Dreams, Journey, Friendship, Love, Adversity, and Triumph. By breaking down the common elements that define Disney storytelling and incorporating Disney music in with these themes, it's a show that takes things a step beyond wishes. In addition, the projections included in the show are a fantastic visual element that elevates it far beyond what Wishes ever was. Not that Wishes wasn't great in its own right, but Happily Ever After is a significant step up in artistic ambition. However, we now have Disney Enchantment, which follows Harmonious in just being lazy and poorly constructed. The show itself is just a series of Disney songs, thrown at the audience with no cohesive theme to tie them together. The title of the show, Enchantment, is just a vague corporate buzzword that allowed whoever put the show together to just stick in whatever popular Disney songs they wanted with no more thought needed. There are some small and random attempts at tying themes together, such as one segment where Under the Sea is played to represent aquatic Disney characters, or You've Got a Friend in Me to represent Pixar, but those segments feel superficial and meaningless. The Pixar portion also includes Wreck-It Ralph for no discernible reason other than they couldn't find another place to fit him in. I will say, at times I do like the projections for the show because they're often cleaner and less busy than what's happening in Happily Ever After. Even some segments like Night on Bald Mountain are visually impressive. However, the animation style is overall less interesting and serves to just kind of shove Disney characters in your face, rather than incorporating them into an overall theme or artistic vision. Finally, whereas shows like Wishes and Happily Ever After were these ambitious and epic finales to a night in the Magic Kingdom, Enchantment just feels rather casual in contrast because the music doesn't even blend together very well. It feels more like one of the projection shows that you're meant to watch in passing. It was not actually intended as a nighttime spectacular. The lack of impact with the mix of the score even allows Tinkerbell to be missed because she just kind of flies out randomly. There's nothing in the build of the music to signify her presence approaching, and so she might have already flown by before you even had time to notice because the rest of the show is too busy just kind of chugging along. Let me just sum up all these points together though. Whereas shows like Wishes and Happily Ever After incorporated and focused on Disney music, they did so with the intent of fleshing out a larger theme. The use of fireworks in these shows was also used as an abstract expression of ideas and emotion, and in the case of Happily Ever After, the projections were far more interesting and dynamic. In contrast, Enchantment follows in the footsteps of the other new shows for the 50th anniversary, taking the lazy route of just simply playing a series of Disney songs and syncing fireworks to them because characters. There's just simply no nuance or overarching theme to tie them together, and the overall quality of the shows are quite diminished in comparison to what came before. I think then that it's easy to point to the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World as a definitive turning point in the history of the company. We've continued to see a decline in the Disney Parks experience since Bob Chapek became chairman of Disney Parks and Resorts in 2015. Beloved and unique experiences have continued to be replaced with attractions that are just good enough and are executed lazily. The Disney retail experience has become increasingly generic, and a number of anti-consumer measures, meant to unapologetically milk your wallet when the experience just continues to grow increasingly worse, is rapidly becoming more commonplace. Many of these changes have come quickly over the last few years, but I think that the 50th anniversary marks the definitive point where we can look and say, yes, the Disney parks are in a state of decline. Yes, this is the era of Bob Chapek and the destruction of what made the Disney experience stand out from everyone else. Are these new shows entertaining? Sure, but what we cannot deny is that they are vastly inferior experiences to what came before. I'm kinda sick of people apologizing for the continued decline of this company. Why would you settle for such lazy mediocrity when you're paying Disney prices and expecting much more? Why would you be okay with these massive eyesores covering up the artistry of the pavilions in the World Showcase just for a Disney sing-along? Why would you come to a Milestone celebration for the resort when you know that someone is going to steal your commemorative merchandise right out of your bag? Disney is treating the 50th anniversary as a celebration of the company's legacy, when in reality it's a clear and distinct turning point in its destruction. Not enough people are talking about this or are excusing it, so spread the message. Share this video around and don't hesitate to call it Disney when it needs to be called out. Don't let the 50th anniversary be a victory in screwing over the people who have held the company in such high regard for so long. As consumers, we can change the narrative, and it starts right here. You can share the video, you can hit the like button to boost it into the YouTube algorithm, or if not, that's fine too. But regardless, I think it's important that we acknowledge what a disastrous turning point this is for the company. The Disney brand is quickly becoming damaged beyond repair, and that should be concerning to you.